Yes, this is Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. I have to use that name. I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace, 1941, and brought to Moulton, Alabama, given the name of a twin. So the word twin or twins are part of the patterns that are so involved in all this. My father's Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. Imposter did, and history was changed. Illegal treaties because George VI, my uncle, helped in my kidnapping, and he helped the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderbergers, the ones in control of the world right now, the New World Order, Hillary Clinton, uh, etc., etc. Most of the presidents went to Yale, and that was part of it, the takeover of the world with no borders. Except Jimmy Carter. I think Jimmy Carter really had a good heart and meant well. I did a book in unpublished because they've almost killed me so many times. It's pathetic, really. I'm talking about the people, the press won't print it because it's controlled by the very people that kidnapped me. And part of my own family that became involved have taken my money and stood by and watched and participated in what happened. They don't want me brought back home to my rightful home and title. So I'm going to leave it there. I wrote a mind control book. I was living it about mind control and doctors. I was living at Moonraker Apartment, and the title of the book was MD, A License to Kill. A little later, a couple of years later, Moonraker movie, which is a 007. Here's where you get into clues and patterns. Roger Moore was in the movie, and it entailed a little bit about space and about mind control. Okay, then came, and it's in the morning, and I'm allergic to chemicals. I put all that up, and I've been deliberately placed where I lived in where I'd be soaked in chemicals, and that's what's happened here. And I just about can't take anymore. Okay, uh, it gets to my organs, my kidneys, my lungs, etc. Besides the hell it puts me in. Now then, if I can get back to where I was, MD License to Kill was the next book that came out with the 007, and he's my favorite actor. And right now, this is how I'm affected if I'm soaked in chemicals, and I have been here using. Anyway, it leaves me rambling, and people just don't want to hear it. Anyway, Larry Flint was one of them that was shot. I use that because they endorsed me for president in April of '84 in the magazine, and he says that I know who's responsible for his shooting. And I was actually out there in October twice in a campaign to replace Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctor, that I wrote about in the book and was almost killed, and had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd, 1979, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Remember Snowden? Okay, the shootings that have continued to take place, and that one would assume at a time that the agency doing this intended to tell the truth about it all or force it to be told. But I'm sitting here and people just want me dead. The crimes against me, there's no. I'm just going to put this. Sandy Hook was one of them. Adam Lanza shot his mom, and people are so willing to, and then he's dead. Um, then there's the a whole bunch of them. The Gabby Gifford, whose husband was a twin, an astronaut, and commander of the shuttle, I believe, and Mark Kelly and Scott Kelly. They're twins. This will tie you back to space and NASA and Huntsville, and it's in this whole thing. It's this is associated with what, and I could go on and on. I put all this up over and over, and I'm just about dead right now. So, what good did it do? Uh, okay, this one is one of the mind control murders, Century City. James Holmes, who's being treated for a non existent illness. He's being tortured in a mental hospital, and that's what's going on. Any one of these people who committed a crime suddenly are mentally ill, etc., etc. So that's what's being used. And they're fed psychotic drugs. Would you like to be fed a psychotic drug when you'd been programmed and you didn't know it and you had no choice in this matter? They didn't even know they were going to program to shoot. And now you're being fed psychotic drugs? Think about it. Okay, this is my dad. I'm going to show that. The real King Edward VIII, who married Claudia Ruth O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. And here's George, my uncle, with Roosevelt planning my kidnapping in 39. Now I'm going to go from that to what's going on now. Number one, there's a murder that happened with a state trooper. And I can't give all the timing because I run out of tape and I've put all this up anyway. And it's very sad. I'm using this one. My married name, which my real name is Margaret Ann Windsor, Queen Victoria II. But this is a student, her and her friend, David Metzler. His father was a doctor here. And they're both were students at Virginia Tech, where the mass killings and shootings happened. And the shooter was programmed to shoot them and kill himself then. So I can go on and on. The Fort Hood shooter attended Blacksburg College, Virginia Tech College, and he became a psychiatrist. And he was born in Roanoke. And the Fort Hood shooter, he's on death row, and he was a psychiatrist, okay? Ties to here, born here. Now then, the child, Childs, which was Heidi's name, is part of Childers. It leaves off the ER. The father's name is Don. That doesn't connect. He's a retired Virginia State Trooper, though. Laura is the wife, the mother's name, and Mr. Child's wife's name. And Caldwell Fields is very important in this area. The Appalachian Trail is up here, and Montgomery County's where the twins' birth certificates that I show that were deliberately marked through, which is illegal, where I had to obtain them from because I have to use that name, Peggy Ann Dempsey Childers. So Montgomery County, I could go on and on. Nobody's ever done anything about this one. Laura Childers is the name of my husband's sister who became such a part of this. She's in Lockhart, Texas, been there a long time, and probably living pretty darn good. And I'm going to say this, the recent shootings of the policemen in Dallas, and I'm going to give you the key words if I can remember it here. And I think I can't. What's the name of the town outside Dallas that the shooter there had a beautiful home, which he's from another country, but he was a victim himself of mind control, and I can't think of it. But the policemen were shot there in Dallas recently. Okay, I'm going to jump to also recently was the shootings that went, not the shootings, the balloon, hot air balloon carrying the 16 people went down in Caldwell County. This is Caldwell Field where these were shot. The state trooper, Virginia State Trooper's daughter and a doctor's son, David, that's what they call my father, David, King Edward VIII. So they've taken names throughout this whole thing that's associated around me. And I even, so let me put this in. Years and years ago, before I knew about patterns or anything about mind control. I mean, this is way back. A man in Huntsville, Alabama, and his name was Larry. And remember, Larry becomes Lawrence. I was taken to Lawrence County. Larry Flint was shot, flown out there, and Larry McDonald, I wrote about. The plane went down with him on it, and I became a candidate. So I can't tell all this. It's up to you. It always was. This isn't going to stop until the truth is told, okay? Now, I want to get to George Wallace, governor of Alabama and presidential candidate, when he was shot and paralyzed and in a wheelchair in Laurel, Maryland. Okay, Lina Dempsey, the person where they put me, mother of the twins that she had killed, they were born out of wedlock. And this has been confirmed and everything. Nobody will touch it, the media. Okay, she was with Governor Wallace when he was running for president at Laurel, Maryland, and shot. He did not like her. Let me make that clear, perfectly clear. Now then, Laurelwood Apartments in Marietta, after I lived at Moonraker, I moved there. This is where the FBI letter came to me, ongoing investigation, national security involved. And on April Fool Day of 80, my husband, ex-husband, or whatever he turns out to be, while I had gone to Laura Childers, she lived in Abilene at the time, because she told me if I come out, I could live there for a couple of weeks and see if I could find a job and get me away from Marietta in Georgia, where all this was happening to me and my sons. I got to this town I'm trying to think of, Mesquite. Okay, it's a suburb of Dallas. And that's where, now you fast forward, and that's where this balloons went down recently in Caldwell County, Lockhart, Texas. So that's where Laura Childers moved to. But when I got to Mesquite back just prior to April Fool Day, when they put antifreeze in me and I should have died, I stopped there for the night and a motel there, and I called her, and I just called her before I started on the trip out there, and everything was okay. I called her a few days later, now that I'm there in Mesquite, and she blatantly says, "You're no longer welcome." And I went back. My apartment was gone. My ex-husband had taken it, and there's connections to him and to the doctors there at Piedmont Hospital, Larry McDonald, and to the woman who helped put, well, yes, she did, the antifreeze in me, Lois Pearson. This is just a part of the ongoing, and nobody's been charged. And they've got me telling about mind control murders and patterns. And my God, anybody, okay, I'm just going to show you because it keeps going out. This is a woman that married the double, not my dad, and that's Wallace Simpson, and this is the double, who stole my dad's identity and became the Duke of Windsor, which is an illegal title. Now then, I'm going to say this. I worked for district attorney after the antifreeze. I was shoved in a car by Lina Dempsey, mother of the twins, and ended up back in Huntsville. And it was a hellhole. There's nothing that you can say about what happened to me that didn't total, and my sons. Anyway, his name, the district attorney's name, was Fred Simpson, Madison County DA, Huntsville, Alabama. My mother, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, was born in Madison, Wisconsin, Sun Prairie. It's a suburb. So you got me working for the DA. Sheriff Patterson, and this is very important, I'm going to put this up on the next video. This one's running out. Sheriff Patterson, I passed a background check. He did. They were sheriff of Madison County. And I'm going to have to let this go. And I want you to see how Sheriff Patterson's name shows up in the guide of the recent bombing and connections to Roanoke here in Virginia, where I've been.